Guys, don't you just love that feeling when you are addicted to a game and you want to keep coming back to it and you keep playing and you say, let me just play a little bit longer. Let me do one more run. Let me do a little bit more, then I'll be done. And then like 6 hours later, you're still playing. This is the feeling I'm having from a card game right now called Monster Slayers. It's a card game on Switch eShop. It's a fun little roguelike deck building dungeon crawler RPG. Now, did they jam enough genres together? I think they got just about everything in there. Uh, that may sound intimidating at first. You'd be surprised at how it all just meshes and melds together. Now, when I say that, you say that may remind you a little bit of Slay the Spire, right? So a lot of people have heard of Slay the Spire. Did you know that this game was released 2 months before Slay the Spire came out? Interesting fact. What is this game? What do you do in Monster Slayers? Well, first, you choose from a list of 8 available classes, such as Barbarian, Wizard, Ranger. There's a lot of what you would normally expect. Or there's some specialized ones like Merchant or Dragon. I love the Merchant. I'll tell you about him in a second. All the classes play differently in terms of their decks and abilities. They each come with a different like pre-made deck of cards, and then they all have special abilities that impact how they play. They feel the way they should. You know, the Barbarian can go berserker and he can deal high amounts of damage, but he also takes damage from some of his attacks. The wizard can cast some powerful spells, but he has to have mana to do so. So there's some cards that charge up mana, and then he has his spells that do a lot of damage. And so each character kind of feels the way they should, and the cards represent that well. It's well made in that regard. You in the game, you enter into the dungeon and choose which enemies you will fight. You'll see a little a grid thing that indicates, hey, this is a level 1 zombie, and over here is a level 2 vampire bat or something. And so you choose which one you're going to fight. Fights are turn-based, and you use action points to play cards. So you have maybe at the start of a turn 3 or 4 action points, and you have to choose which cards you're going to play. Each one, some cards will be free. They don't cost a point. Some cost maybe 2 or 3 if it's really powerful. So some powerful spells also have a mana cost. Attacks might cost extra points. All the time while you're doing this, you also have to watch your health, because being a roguelike means that if you die, your run is over, your character is gone, and that's it. You have to start from the beginning pretty much. If you level up as a result of a fight, your HP is refilled all the way to the max, and you also gain other bonuses. So you'll choose between a bonus to your HP, or maybe you add a card to your deck, a good card. So you get your choice in bonuses, whatever is more beneficial to your character, your build, and your run at that time. And that's a good aspect of the game. I like that decision making there. Along the way, you find treasures, which could be good cards, or maybe you get the option to delete weaker cards from your deck, which are viable early on, but later as you progress, they're just too weak for the enemies that you're facing. You can also add action points so that you can play more cards each turn, or you can add mana so that you can play cards that have a mana cost. Or you can even gain allies that have special attacks that can help you, and they usually take a few turns to charge up their attacks, but that's another interesting aspect of the game. At the end of the dungeon, you'll face a powerful boss, and if you win, you'll gain what's called fame points. And those can be used to purchase special skills. This is really where the game shines, in my opinion. These skills will stick around for subsequent playthroughs. So early on, you're pretty weak. You have no special skills, but you'll be able to win just enough to unlock, hey, next time you play through as a barbarian, it'll get 10 extra HP or something like that, like different skills like that. And they'll be different for different classes, so you can try different classes, or you can keep playing through as this character and try to like bolster them over and over. In this game, you will die. You'll die a lot. You'll die repeatedly. The game is designed to be that way. It's designed for you to progressively get a little bit stronger each time you make a run. And eventually, hopefully, you'll get strong enough or lucky enough to beat 3 legendary creatures. That's kind of the objective of the game. In just a second, I'm going to tell you what I like, what I dislike, and how I feel the overall value of this game is. I tell you guys, man, I've really been enjoying this game. There's a lot that I like with Monster Slayer. Let me start with some stuff that I dislike. And the first thing would have to be, I'm just not the biggest fan of roguelike games. I know there are some people out there who are huge fans of roguelikes. That's not really me. For me, and I'll tell you why. Roguelike games kind of give a bad feeling when you have a character that you are enjoying and you're progressing, you're building them up, you're feeling good about your run, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong. Maybe in this case, maybe you just have a few turns of bad card draws and it doesn't go your way, or your opponent lands a critical hit, or just any number of things. Something goes wrong and you die, and then that character's done. There's no going back. You can't, all that you invested in that character is just done. Now, not completely everything doesn't go away. If you unlocked any specials, then those can stay with you and go into another character that you build. So you don't lose absolutely everything, but you do lose a lot of that progress that you built into the character. So that's not a Monster Slayers thing. That's just a roguelike thing. For me, I don't know. But I'll say this, I don't know how they could have fixed it, because it's also one of the more addicting parts of the game is when you die with a character, you think, ooh, I bet you if I do this differently, then maybe I'll get a little bit further. So it's good and bad. Just want to toss that out there. The art style in this game is something that I'm not crazy about. It's the characters look like a cross between Scribblenauts, if you remember those characters, and maybe something like Paper Mario mixed with South Park. Like they kind of look like paper cutouts that move around. It kind of has a very budget feel to the art style. Now that didn't detract from my enjoyment of the game really that much, but I just want to throw it out there. If you're looking for like the highest production quality, like amazing graphics, this is not what you should be looking for. But listen, like I say, I don't think it impacted the game. Everything, kind of still, you can tell what it is and what is supposed to be happening on screen. The cards do have a distinct look to them, so you can very quickly identify a physical attack, a charge up, a card that requires mana, a spell, different things. You can identify them, how they look based on what they do, and that's the way it should be. So just throwing it out there. I didn't love the art style in this game. The game also, because of the way the gameplay is, often feels like just play as many cards as you can and hope that that's enough to defeat your enemy. And if it's not, then just take your beating from them on their turn and then rinse and repeat. Hope you have enough cards to do enough damage to defeat your enemy. You just do that over and over. There's really not a lot of, let me take that back. There's not a ton of strategy in, we'll play this card and then combo into this card. There is some of that. There is a little bit of that. And it does depend, too, on what class you're playing as. Makes a difference. Barbarians will just sling attacks, and it doesn't matter in what order. So there is some differences in classes there, but sometimes the gameplay boils down to that. Now, there's enough other stuff going on that the looting system and everything else, it makes it worthwhile. But sometimes you'll just feel like, well, I'm just playing every card that I can possibly play. What do I really like, though? Man, the differences in classes, for me, make this game. Playing a fun class like Dragon, for example, I played Dragon last night. And, dude, it's just awesome. Like, you fly up in the air, and that can help you avoid attacks. You can do all these different, like, elemental attacks on people. So if you're Poison Dragon, you can do poison attacks. And Fire Dragon can set people on fire. And it's just great. It feels amazing. My favorite class by far was the Merchant, however, man. The Merchant is pretty weak. His attacks are not great. However, he has these special attacks in his deck called Bribe. And with Bribe, you can pay this high amount of gold to automatically defeat an enemy. So I found myself saying differently with him, man, it's not about attack. It's not about, restoring HP or anything else that you do with these other characters. With him, it's just about accumulate as much gold as possible so that you can bribe your enemies to lose automatically the fights. That is just brilliant for me. And I found myself like scrambling to get as much gold as possible so that I could just like bribe every enemy. And that was really fun. Going from like barbarian to merchant to dragon was just brilliant. It's great. Each one feels extremely distinct. And I think they nailed that with this game. It makes it a lot of fun. Unlocking, just the process of unlocking skills, cards, gear, and allies feels extremely rewarding in this game. They very much got that Diablo feel of trying to get, better gear and trying to get your cards upgraded and stuff. So just fantastic there. This is Monster Slayers is a fun and addicting game. You'll want to keep playing. One more run, one more battle, a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden you've been playing for hours. It's a great game. You really need to give it a try. If you think that you would enjoy any of this dungeon crawling, deck building style, different classes, RPG, you need to check this game out. On the Switch eShop, the retail price is $14.99, and I would say that this game is a fine deal for that price. It's often on sale. Currently, at the time that I'm recording this, it's on sale for $3.74, according to DeckYourDeals.com. That is a steal. You need to go out and get this game right now for that price. Let me also add, if you hadn't heard the other review, I did a review. This game is available as a part of a card game bundle. It's called Card Game Bundle, Volume 1, with another game called Frost, which I did a review for that game. If you haven't already heard it, you need to check that review out. That's also a really fun game, so I actually kind of recommend the bundle, especially if you can save money and find it when it's on sale. So see if you can get either or both games at a bargain price, or even better, if you find the bundle on an even lower bargain price, whatever you can get the better deal on. There's a couple different ways that you can do that. Ooh, and let me say that I'm excited when I saw that. Card Game Bundle Volume 1 makes me think that there's a Volume 2 on the way. So stay tuned for that. If there's a Volume 2, maybe I'll see about doing a review for Volume 2, but who knows when that could happen. We'll have to figure it out. Anyway, Monster Slayers, super fun game. Guys, I was totally surprised by this Card Game Bundle, man. It's an extremely good value. I think you'll get a ton of replayability from both games. Monster Slayers, I just want to keep going back. There's a ton of skills. I've been playing for hours and hours, and there's still a ton of skills to unlock and different ways that you can play different classes, characters. It's just a blast. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of card games, if you're a fan of roguelikes, if you're a fan of dungeon crawling RPGs, really any of those genres. I think you should give this game a try. Monster Slayers, it's super addictive, man. Card slinging, dungeon running, fun. I give it 8 dead characters out of 10. Fantastic game.